Globalists' plan to shut down the power grid is working. So on this theme about the World Economic Forum, these globalists, of course, this is part of the plan. What globalists want is us locked in our homes, working remotely, off an electric grid that's backed by fossil fuels, right? They want it on solar and wind, which is a laughable, I mean, it's a joke, right? They want us all on wind and solar, which could never happen. And they're starting, though, to get their wish. Even though this is a ridiculous wish, they're starting to get their wish. We have yet another, in the past 24 hours, another mysterious attack on our energy grid. So over the past few hours, we've been trying to get this assessment. They're investigating. We don't know what it is. But what the hell is happening here? This is the latest one in Los Angeles. LAX power failure halts TSA screenings. Outage being investigated. Power has been restored to most locations, but a nearly 45-minute power failure hit Los Angeles International Airport 2:30 in the afternoon, halting passenger screenings, potentially delaying flights. The Department of Water and Power said its crews have restored service and that the outage is being investigated. Power has been restored to most locations. The airport tweeted earlier, most of our terminals are impacted by the loss of power. Crews assessing the issue. Some departing flights may be impacted due to no power to jet bridges. Like, what the hell is happening? The FAA's air traffic control tower was also able to provide regular services so far, they said. But what if it wasn't? And of course, a few weeks ago, we saw that major outage. So every flight was grounded across the United States. Just a small inconvenience. America's entire domestic flight operation was shut down. What in the world is going on? So, of course, this is not the first attack at all. And they're not even just calling them like a mistake or there's like a failure of the power grid. No, these are targeted attacks. These are happening on an almost daily, dare I say, well, maybe weekly, dare I say, daily basis now. The ones that are at least we know about and are being reported to us because it's impacting so many people that it can't not be reported to us. How many of you have experienced one of these outages recently? Let us know, because they've been happening all over the United States. And by the way, they've been happening in other parts of the world too. This is not just the United States, but we're going to focus on this because it's been unbelievable. Because also how fragile the United States infrastructure is. The infrastructure in the United States is really fragile. So here's North Carolina. Here's a power attack in North Carolina. North Carolina attacks highlight the vulnerability of the power grids. You guys up there in Washington State, Philip and David, you guys had a power attack. The FBI says 2 men attacked Washington's electric grid. And there was another outage in Portland. Oh, you guys have experienced these. And here's how Politico writes this. Physical attacks on power grids surged to a new peak, they say. People are shooting, sabotaging. Physical computerized assaults on equipment that delivers electricity are at the highest level since 2012. Including 101 reported this year through the end of August, according to federal records. And it's not, I mean, this is an increase over last year, so we're seeing consistent attacks on the power grid. Lynn Tremblay in our chat, thank you for your comments. Lynn says it's on purpose. Yeah, this doesn't just happen. One maybe would be, two would be like a coincidence. 101 of them? Digital attacks and people firing guns and also setting bombs? Who's doing, like, for what purpose? This year's tally doesn't even include 2022's most visible attacks, the shootings of two Duke Energy substations that knocked out power to 45,000 people in North Carolina. The lights went dark on Christmas Day for 14,000 customers in Washington state. Authorities have yet to identify any suspects in the North Carolina attacks and have only been able to speculate about the motives.
Good thing Rachel Maddow still isn't on. She'd have it nailed down.
With her investigative journalism, sure she'd be all over it.
Yeah, it'd be Russia for sure.
Why isn't 100%. The story being covered and analyzed and investigated? The same level of scrutiny that we had over Trump's tax returns. America's energy infrastructure is being attacked on a regular basis and no one seems to give a shit.
You think maybe it is the fact that Russian narrative has fallen apart so many times that they're just not going to use it in their playbook anymore for something like that? Otherwise, we would be hearing about it. Because if they can't put the blame on Russia and there's going to be investigating, there's sometimes where they don't want to bring light to it because then it'll come back to actually who it really is. Maybe.
Yeah, and if it's somebody in the deep state responsible, I mean, who knows? But you know, it fits perfectly with an agenda of what the globalists want, though. So that makes it inconvenient for them to cover this story because we know they already have the playbook in place for lockdown 2.0. They don't want us using cars. They've told us this. They want us to sell our cars. They want us to use our bikes. They want us to be in 15-minute cities, as they're called, where we just walk everywhere. We don't drive anywhere. We don't drive 45 minutes or beyond 15 minutes to see family and friends. We stop using fossil fuels, hydrocarbons, etc. We turn to wind and solar, and we work from home. And we use digital currency so they can track and watch everything that we do. That's what they want. So by shutting down power grids and forcing people to say, you know, I really need to put on solar panels on my house. I can't be dealing with this power outages anymore. I need a power brick in my house, and I need some solar panels on my roof to really protect myself. Forces people's hands. It forces people's hands. And we heard multiple times after the Nord Stream pipeline explosion and destruction by the United States and allies that, well, this is a good thing, they told us. Remember? This would speed our transition. Bill Gates told us that. Anthony Blinken told us that. Pete Buttigieg told us that. This will speed our transition to renewables. So never let a crisis go to waste, right? I mean, that's the cynical side of me, but I've been around this business a long time. So now, I mean, is it conspiratorial? Maybe. But something's going on. And these physical attacks keep happening. Just look at this graph just to see here. The power grid attacks are on the rise. Of course, the infrastructure is garbage. But look at that red line. That's 2022. And already this year, the number of attacks has gone up. So we're on pace for 2023 to exceed 2022 already this year. Our infrastructure is garbage. I don't know if you know that. And I remember the big blackout, the New York City blackout? What was that?
Mm-hmm. Oh, yeah. That was like 8 years ago?
No.
Wasn't it?
It was longer than that.
Is that the one? Oh, you're talking. Oh.
Can anyone in the chat, anybody, we've got 60,000 of you watching right now. Can you guys Google something for us? When was the New York City blackout? It was not just New York City, but that's the 3 million people, but it was all
the 1970s.
Oh, are you talking about the one in the 70s? Like the
No.
1977.
Oh,
you guys, we were talking about how great our memories were a little earlier.
I said a week. If it happened more than a week ago, I don't know.
That's true.
Okay, thank you.
He did say that.
Jeremiah Bay in the chat says 2004. I see other people saying, 2004, 2003 blackout, 2004 blackout. Okay, 2003. Anyway, we'll go with a mix of them. 2003, 2004. Thank you guys. You guys are good. So they even made a musical about it called In the Heights on Broadway. And it was like, took place during, it was Lin-Manuel Miranda's like first big break for before he did Hamilton. And it was about the blackout. It took place like this love story during the blackout and, all this stuff. Anyway, it was so much attention to oh my God, our infrastructure is such crap. That was 2003 for crying out loud. Millions of people in the dark.
What just happened to Texas? We covered that on this show with the snow. That was 2 years ago?
Yeah. It was maybe it was like last winter, wasn't it? It was just like last winter.
Might have been, yeah.
Yeah, I think it was last winter, the deep freeze.
When Cruz left.
When Ted Cruz went to Cancun. Just to deliver his daughter, right? I was just taking her
with a huge suitcase,
right? I was just there taking my daughter to Cancun. So it shows you how fragile our infrastructure is, and energy companies now are asking you to turn off your heaters, like in California, New York. Con Ed, of course, serving New York area, sent this notice to consumers. We're urging customers to conserve energy due to frigid weather and increased demand. So conserve energy, turn down your thermostat because frigid weather. Demand on
Well,
interstate
California
pipelines
sent a
that bring
message
natural
asking-
gas to our region. We're also taking other steps, such as utilizing other sources of natural gas in order to serve our customers. So here's the thing, Con Ed. So the Biden administration literally shut down natural gas to the Northeast. And you want them to now stop using it because you boneheads in Washington screwed them over. And blew up a pipeline in Europe, by the way. So they need to conserve. Go ahead. Sorry, I was interrupting.
Well, no, it's fine. I was going to say California also during the summer saying don't charge your electric cars
Right.
because of the heat wave.
Right. So which is, we wanted you to move to electric cars, but we realize it's a scam. They don't actually work and they're backed up by natural gas and fossil fuels anyway. So don't plug them in. So just stay home. That's my point. This is what they want. They want you to stay home. They want you to not use a car. They don't want you to travel. So here's the Northeast. Power demand soaring above their forecasts and supplies are tight. Power prices average more than $2,000 per megawatt hour across the grid right now. Holy shit, look at that. Look at the price map for New England. Look at that. $2,000 per megawatt hour across the grid right now. About 70% of the power generation mix is oil, nuclear, and natural gas, while unreliable renewables barely account for 6%. But we're going all in on that, aren't we? We're going all in on the unreliable wind, solar, landfill gas. Instead of nuclear, and they see this dependence on fossil fuels or hydrocarbons. I know some people get angry and say, don't call it fossil fuels. I mean, that's colloquially, that's what everyone calls it, right? We can say hydrocarbons, but we know what we mean. It's not crushed dinosaur bones or whatever. We know what it is, right? Petroleum, all those things. And of course, this is exactly what they want, are taking away our dependence on hydrocarbons, which if you read Alex Epstein's great book, Fossil Future, you can't. And it's incredible, like the amount of industrialization and human beings live longer thanks to fossil fuels. We build economies. We lift people out of poverty thanks to hydrocarbons and fossil fuels. But stop using them. They see this dependence on these hydrocarbons as our greatest threat. Here's yesterday, President Biden. This is the greatest threat. Biden calls global warming bigger threat to humanity than a nuclear war. As George Carlin would say, so a few plastic bags, a slight warming, which is part of a cycle anyway, talk to experts, is a bigger threat than nuclear war? Okay. And it's not just the United States either who have these crazy leaders. Now, it's also in the UK, where Britain is in trouble. And if people in the UK try to use wood-burning stoves right now to keep warm, they will be fined £300 for burning wood to keep warm. So let's just get this right. The leaders of these countries screwed you over. Europe allowed the United States to destroy a Nord Stream pipeline so that now you're paying 4, 5, 6, 7 times more for natural gas and you're getting it from America instead of cheaply from Russia. And you want to heat your home to protect your family with wood because all of the other resources have been taken away because of your leaders, and you're going to be fined £300 for doing so. So Germany shuts down its nuclear power plants and then starts opening coal-powered plants, which are the dirtiest, worst possible power plants. And you got rid of the cleanest, most efficient for the worst. And you're going to be
Take that,
fined.
Russia.
Yeah. Way to stick it to Putin. You really stuck it to Putin.
You and your $1.80 eggs.
God. I mean, it is a clown world, isn't it? It's a world gone mad.
Is.
I mean, we all, the Redacted team here throughout the day, Philip, David, Grim, Natalie, we're all like on a text chain. We're constantly looking at news and we're just like, are you kidding me? Like, is this really happening? And sometimes it seems like it's a Babylon Bee article. No, this is really happening. It's not fake. It's not even an Onion. In fact, I think truth is worse than fiction at this point. It's certainly stranger than it, and it might even be funnier than it. Like some of the stories we're going to cover here.
I think the Onion really missed their mark during all of this, where they should have just started like doing actual full-on investigative journalism and be like, you know what, screw you guys. If life is gonna go this way, we're gonna get into it serious.
Let's go the opposite way. Thank you so much for watching this segment here at Redacted. We are live every day at 4 p.m. Eastern Time, trying to share the stories that the mainstream media will not cover. You should also come over and join our community of Redacted Rebels over at redacted.inc. That's our private locals community where we can share exclusive content that we simply cannot share here on YouTube. Come over and join the rebellion together right now by going to redacted.inc. We'll see you next time.